Is this on? It is, okay.
Thank you very much for inviting me to read here. I'm absolutely delighted. This is my third time in Prague, but the first time reading anything here. I just want to give a shout out to my collaborator, Nina Devine, who worked with me on the video for this. Once upon a time, there was a whale called Milieu. Breaking off briefly to think about the vast tracts of Moby Dick they haven't read and the scantness of their knowledge of cetacean life, the typing fingers stop, rub a nose, flex uncertainly. The only whale fact that comes to mind right now is Sir William Wilde's comparison of bog butter to spermaceti, a wax found in the nasal cavities of whales. Thinking about this makes the nose itch. More rubbing, more flexing. The line is called out, demanding to be written into. Towards the end of the 1,000-odd pages of Fernand de Ligny's collected works are some scattered fragments, offcuts from his last published books. On one of these pages is the line, Il était une fois une baleine appelée Milieu. This line has cast itself out from the depths of its densely filled and beautifully presented tome and caught on the eye of this one reader, flicking through a flattened version of the book on her screen in her shed, thinking about juste milieu and milieu intérieur, midpoints and just rights, half places and the hidden spots where the body's internal membranes rub up against each other and space can be made if needed. In the middle of this thinking, which takes the form this morning of some desultory searching in the disconcertingly massless, massive tome, La Baleine popped up, the whale named not Milou or Minou, but Milieu, middle, medium, environment, social background, and the line is caught, pulls itself taut. What can't be captured? Feeling, sunlight, birds in flight, that one white whale. The capture model assigns virtue and value to what can be caught, pinned, quantified, thought through neatly to the end. Like Teenage Fan Club, we hate verisimilitude. It's not even all that like the real, just revelling in its own refusal to throw away the mould. Gorgeous morning light fills up the moss, whose tiny red filaments reach out to milk it. They're milking light. Mayor Quinby had been promised dog or higher, but what's higher than the light? This new milk-fed moss carpets everything, making a softly woven rug of the backyard disjecta. Nothing could be more ruderal, this knitting together of liquid, rubble and sun. Someday, all the ground round here will be blanketed in seamless green. Absorbing up to 20 times its weight in water, it forms a sort of creeping floor cloud. Once something has been said to creep, it's hard not to think of it as sneaky, furtive, savalesque, but this organism's creeping is entirely wholesome. Its sporophytes probe nothing but the light and air, where its load will burden no one else. It's hard to peel sinister connotations of a damp, soft, creeping mass. Let your nose lead the way. Curl a corner loose from the paving stones and breathe in that scent of earth and long-trapped rain that no one's felt the need to think up a $10 word for. There's something tacit but tenacious to learn from its fragile, soft-walled nature. Proliferating eyes penetrated the continually rewritten clouds. The swallows darting over the bog field are actually in the clouds, doing some new rewriting of their own, they're clean, they're proper, they're property, their own true love in motion. Unmown grass is hoarding cloud beads, or maybe only holding them until they're needed for root or bird or cloud making. The water courses from which we abstract have been contaminated, weeps the water company, dreaming of a new technology that would permit it to abstract the dew and the grass-collected raindrops. A reminder hovers over us that somebody who seems utterly motherless might have someone there who slips between layers, qui glisse entre les couches. Water drops gather one another up one way or another. It's how clouds write and then rewrite themselves. Light drags drops up, each drop pulling others along, abstracting together in the sense of pulling things out of their setting and into something else. River to reservoir, dewdrop to thundercloud. Vapour pads out the air, so this abstraction is all around us, always. Vapour, the invisible notation from which the clouds will write themselves, cushions us. All the poet things, bird song, wander lines and water abstracting, unfold around us. Birds nudge us into writing. We love them even more than the moon, thanks to their plunging and hectic singing. What is a note? What is a note for? What can a note do, alone or lining out with others? The air is full of them, from blackbird, chiff-chaff, crow-caw. Had a garden, never weeded it. Have a garden, never weed it, never need to. A notebook left out in the rain is not a MacArthur Park-style calamity. I may never have the recipe again, but soggy page edges and blurred pencil lines can still lead on into the thicket where words tangle with brambles and dandelion stems. In this moment of spring teetering at its most fulsome and gorgeous, seed heads wait for a breeze to scatter themselves everywhere. I wish them well on their way, willing them to steer clear of their neighbour out with Roundup, willingly yellowing her verges despite the dandelions and daisies. Where is the love for these frail and tangled blossoms, their dust and fluff and pollen? Alien energies, scattered to earth in these vectors like pixie dust, find our big clumsy human host bodies weird and itchy. Willow warbler, chiff-chaff, black-cap, robin, tantalise our freshly tuned ears with piercing and often complex and argumentative chains of notes. Weird and itchy human bodies can come together to approximate such sounds we learn in gliss and melismatic torque. I can feel my heart touch my Adam's apple. My heartstrings just unfurled. Fingers tingle, tootsies tap. I can feel a feather in my head. We all feel a force draw in notes and words, spin them into music that wells up inside until we can't contain it, and song bubbles up and leaks out. On bad days oozes out. On the best ones thunders like cataracts plunging over rock. Melismatic torque stretches one word across a chain of notes. Squiggles of sound pass sense from hand to fingertip and off back into the air. Fly buzz, willow warbling, woven words meet in the air and bounce back, baffled. Sycamores' densely meshed crowns shred high winds to zephyrs and wafts. We shred sound too, unweaving the unwieldy everythingness of it into manageable ribbons. Manage comes from hand, and though down here you can't pick up a song between your fingers, you can carry a tune. The question is, how far? Cheer up, says the robin, for your love has just begun. I love the way you answer with your laugh, the robin's song. The robin's song is part of ours now, and the sycamore's untangled breezes and gift of spring bees. The snot-green pollen loads of sycamore flowers make great early bee food and a lightly snot-tinged honey. It's worth getting nettle-stung to capture them dangling in the trimmed-to-measure morning breeze. Insignificant they are, being mainly green. Later, in autumn, their winged fruit will be similarly unspectacular, except in their number and in the speed with which they turn into trees. Grass could be a table, and in a Canadian springtime park, one where autumn will give sycamores a more gorgeous cousin, a totemic fall-time radiance, green grass can be a table in a park beyond the mind. At the end of the mind stands a palm, tree, not hand, where a bird sings and fire-fangled feathers dangle down. We stand in awe of anyone who can spin a full 6 syllables from the word bug. We never weed our garden either, to keep the creatures coming. Frantic for company, we are tangling in a twisting torque of dichotomy that ropes us together in sunlight and dappled green shadow. We're not sure now whether we're speaking in tongues or tongues are speaking in us. Wren, robin, blackbird, rook, chaffinch, willow warbler, all give us something to think with this morning. The warbler is especially vehement, its frantic singing welling up in us like some sticky fizz without an outlet. The inner voice is fetched home from outside. We've known this for a while, but out in the wind, among rustling trees and grass, with the tin roof squeaking and the birds going off, we're reminded that voice isn't always in so many words. Over the last 5 minutes, an immense wave of cloud has crashed soundlessly, crumpled into chunks, rebuilt itself into something concrete looking. The sun's last light pools at the foot of the oldest beech tree, silently. It looks to us as though there should be a high-pitched pealing of bells to accompany this molten metallic light, but these everyday feats of light and water work themselves out without a sound. Branches are still screeching against the tin roof, reminding us that everything that stands here is teetering on the verge of crumbling. The soft shushing of breeze in the grass means no harm. Oh, happily the rain. The rain makes it okay to lie here, weighed down, slug-like. Summer is paused. Tree branches grind arthritically. The wind through their leaves whispers unsettlement and discomfort. Into the channel of the ear pours ersatz sea sound, cobbled together from leaf and summer breeze. On yesterday's walk between showers, we, the dog and I, climbed up behind the roofless house 2 doors up and wondered at the thick clusters of willow herb that are knitting together the rubble that used to be the back of the house. A sky full of unsettled, clotting clouds threatened to rain down on us and cast short bursts of shadow and the fear over us, but we wandered on. The dog loves these clusters of mud, rubble and weed. She has so much here to sniff around and pee on, ears vibrating with the intensity of it. And I'm squirming, checklisting as always, trying to funnel these bits of thinking and angst into words you could make a poem from. Something to hide inside. Listening to this morning's tree-made groans and susurrations, willing them to fall into pattern, is a variation on the same unsettlement. Shush now, the willow might be saying, while the hazel at the end of the house moans about the agonies of overgrowing. The teen won't hear a word of cutting back its branches, though they scrape against her window like the revenant Cathy Earnshaw and stretch green gloom into the room when the windows open. A rain of birds tumbles from the sky into our lap, scattering these words we'd been pulling together for clouds and song. The rub-up is what is produced in encounters between people who voice themselves through different forms of language. Some of these people are swallows and bullfinches. Some are wind in hazel branches. Some are rain on tin roof. The dread spreading fingers down my neck south from fused cervical vertebrae is one manner of speaking. I've been like this since a virus. Sounds from the outside world rub me in a way that seems on the surface wrong, but whose reverberations echo that there is no outside world, only world. Bewilderment, energy, friction, heat, intimacy. The rub-up arises in grappling with unfamiliar terms, in not understanding. The terms are not so strange. Understanding is happening in resistance. More friction, more heat, more rubbing. The labour of returning to the world, what you have needed from it, brings you back to the beginning. This heated skin, this shared sense there aren't words for. Francis Ponge was stunned at what the swallows do to us, plunging us into the position of spectator, writing us out of the centre of our story. No harm to have us warm the margins for a while. This is what the future holds if we don't give the world back what we've taken, plug ourselves in to fill the gaps we've made. The swallows know to duck around us. The abyss we are.